Okay, so this is just a really cool thing that I came across when dealing with this, playing with this Fourier transform sound wave analysis, DTMF. So I think the set computer audio should be coming through okay. So if you go to this Wikipedia article and play one of these, let's see, DTMF dialing. So that's like auto dial type business. And that is very difficult for the ear to tell how many different how many different numbers are put in on the phone. Kind of sounds like six, but that's the equivalent. This is pretty slick, this Wikipedia article, how it displayed the numbers here. Not slick, but it's nice. So different numbers are being displayed there. So zero through, I've got the uniques in here and notepad, the distinct 069753. And that's what was dialed. It's pretty surprising that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 digits dialed there, but I guess the sound waves are blurring together in my ear. But this table was a bit confusing for me to read at first until I looked to the right, of course. A combination of 1209 and 697. So this does not mean that dialing one has frequency 1209. It's a combination of maybe a linear equal weight combination of 1209 and 697. Anywho, um, I downloaded the first, well, I downloaded that entire OGG file here by right clicking and saving the link as blah, 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 and putting it into Audacity gives neat little sound waves. The So I've got this highlighted right now. So the play is gonna, and I've also got the solo button clicked. So play only plays the first, the highlighted bit. Anywho, I selected this bit of the sound wave, and it's quite neat to look at these sound waves as well. I haven't zoomed in on them yet, but anywho, um, just getting distracted by the waves there. So I selected this, whoops, selected this and went to export audio, exported it as a mono. I think the FFT and Python can handle stereo, that is left and right ear. Okay. But selecting mono, I named the file DTMF dial tone modulation frequency, I think is what that stands for. Multi-frequency. Okay. Yeah. Um, and read this in. The DTMF signal.wav only reads in that first wave. If I play it, okay, and plotting the spectrum yields this. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 peaks. And if we I got two monitors set up, so I didn't anticipate having to fiddle with this. Having to do a side by side here. But if we look at the pitches here, that signal, the numbers that were dialed were all between 0 and 9. So in other words, or between 0 and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and zeros here in the first three columns of the table. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pitches here and 1, 2, 3 pitches there. And if we look, we see 600 through 950 are the first four, and approximately 600 more close to 700. So there's the 700, which is 697. There's the 700 and it's 20, 40, 60, 80. So like 770, which corresponds to the number four here, and 850 or something like that, 852, and 920 or 30, 940. 1, 2, that seems a bit off. It's quite a broad wave, but 20, 40, 60, 80, yeah, 20, 40, so 40. So it matches. And then 1200, 1300 something, and close to 1500 matches these three right here. So I just thought that was cool. And other things, if we bring up this is C2 through C6, so oops. Let me unselect that and click solo and see if that waves. So that's a recording of me playing C2 through C, then C3, then C4, then C5, then C6 on the piano. And if we look at just thinking about which would be the best to see, we can kind of see that that's a sine wave if we zoom in quite a bit. It's not quite a sine wave. Yeah. So I selected this bit, this note, and then I exported it as c2.wav, which is here in this folder. Let me navigate to that folder. Okay, and I put it in audio files. I have these Audacity projects, Cactus in the Valley by a musician that I like. 3 human notes is me recording, humming some different notes. Put it in audio files, so c2.wav plays that. C3, okay. So if I read in C2, so if I read in C2 using this cell in this Jupyter notebook, just as a reminder to my future self, I guess, Jupyter notebook, this command, once you've installed Jupyter and the notebook or whatever and press enter there, it'll open up in a browser, this localhost 8888 business. So previously I read in the DTMF signal.wav. So if I read in the, there's a nice little history button here. Up arrow is quite a nice little feature in Jupyter notebooks that I don't remember existing from a few years ago. So c2.wav. First, if I accidentally misspell, if I intentionally misspell the file name, the file does have to be in this folder right here, as this little notice says, this input prompt instruction. Okay, so that's an interesting error that I've seen a few times. If I interrupt or restart kernel, and then I run, right, run all selected, run all cells. Run all cells, does these imports, and then it prompts. So let me misspell something here that won't be in this folder, just to show the error that occurs there. Maybe it's looking for it. It actually hasn't. Okay, there it goes. So I didn't make the error nice to read at all. I didn't do it, try to fiddle around with throwing an exception that looks nice if the file is not found or anything. It uses librosa.load, so I don't want to look into the internal workings of that. So if I rerun and I type something that is there, which is c2.wav, I think I didn't capitalize the C. Okay, so that worked. You notice the little asterisk that appears while the Jupyter notebook is executing a command. This is ip.audio is a nice little thing. Okay. Let me double check that I'm recording computer audio or sharing computer sound. Yes, it should be. And if we plot the spectrum, it's plotted on a particular axis range right now. So let me comment that out and rerun this function definition, which does all of the magic, so to speak. So I just reran that. You see the order of execution is indicated here, 3 and 7. This was executed third, this was executed fifth, sixth, and seventh, which I've already mentioned why I am using a Jupyter notebook rather than a Python file. So this will be C2 is the title of this thing. And yeah, before I plot, let's just for fun, go to piano key frequencies. If we just look this up, the Wikipedia article is nice, pretty nice. So C2, let's do a reverse sort. C2 is the scientific pitch name, interestingly. Never heard Helmholtz names before. It's kind of surprising. Because Helmholtz is a thing in physical chemistry. No surprise that he was involved in music as well. Okay, so C2 is here. There's A sharp and flat, but we don't have to worry about that with C2. Okay, so deep C, 65.4 hertz. Okay, so 65. And if we look at the signal here, we have this piano is electronic, so it's the data in a way I expect will look unusually nice, perhaps compared to a real piano. So 62, or was it 65? 65. So we see some stuff here, but it's not particularly obvious yet what I'm trying to demonstrate. So if I change the axis plot range, 65. So if we start at 0 and run up until 200, and the amplitude, I need to change this code here to make it automatically cap at the maximum in magnitudes, but I don't feel like looking into it. So this maxes out, it appears to. I had this commented out earlier, I believe, so, but the usual behavior of matplotlib is to something like auto scaling. So let's make sure this isn't at 1400 because that's too high. So if we go to 350, rerun and rerun. So I said 65. So here's this peak, and it is at, these are in increments of 2.5, I think, 52.5, 55, 57. I don't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So divisions of 3, 53, 56, and 57. So right there at 57. So maybe it's like very slightly off by 1 hertz, but that doesn't matter for all but the lowest piano frequencies, even with A0 and A2 or B flat 0, it's over 1 hertz difference. Anywho, that's 56, 57, 65 is what I should, 53, 59, 62, 65. So quite close. And this is an overtone. So this frequency at the division by 3 is kind of throwing me off. 25, 55, 60, 65. I'm being silly. 65 right on it. And double 65 is 130, and that is 130. And triple 65 is 195, and that is where that peak is. So fantastic. This has use in chords as well, obviously. So here's a C chord played at 3 levels of loudness. Okay, the solo button is graying out the others, so that makes sense. Solo. So if I play this, so I exported the loudest one as my wave file, the C chord.wav. The MP4 is obviously a video file of me playing these keys. C chord.wav. So if we look at the sound wave, it is a pretty nice regular wave. You can see that it's a periodic signal. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say there. Anyways, this is okay. So let's rerun that, and we'll turn off the auto scaling because the amplitude of that is much likely louder. Amplitude is definitely something I need to look in, like look into the max amplitude. What is the max amplitude that's recorded by my phone or the laptop? And what's the resulting max amplitude of a Fourier transform? Okay, so this is the line of code we need to rerun this so the scaling doesn't get set appropriately, auto scaled. Okay, so now it's going to be C chord. I think I named it C chord. Okay, it seems to have found it. Nice and loud, so it's going to be quite a bit louder. And if we change this to the C major chord, we see 1, 2, 3 big peaks, and evidently my middle finger is playing this note the most strongly because the middle note is got the highest amplitude. And then The overtones are going to be more interesting and more complicated in this case. But it was middle C where that started, the bottommost note. So if we go down to middle C on this page, middle C has frequency 261. And if we zoom in on that region, so that's from is 1, 2, 3, 400. So if we go from 250 to around 500, and the max amplitude is like 1200. We run the function definition and plot. We see divisions, the minor tick divisions of 10 hertz each, 260, and then with approximately double amplitude, so quite as double the force, perhaps. Maybe there's some addition of overtones that's happening there. But anywho, and then 330-ish. So in 2030, 330. So that should be the note E. 330, right on it. E4 is 329.6. And then the G. Yeah. So we can also see, I think, the meaning of equal temperament here, because the space between this is the same as the space between this and the distance. Well, be careful about saying things like that. Okay, this works with more complicated music as well. This is, it works to some extent, a lesser extent, of course. It's interesting, the option to play is vanished here. Anyways, this is a real music file. I'm not sure, maybe I changed the location. The spectrogram feature in Audacity is, I'm sure maybe a musician or an audio engineer, of course, could understand it to a greater extent. The hotlines indicate, the hottest line indicates the bass frequency, and we could zoom in and see where the heat is. It's aesthetically pleasing, but anywho, it's doing something similar, but I enjoy doing it with this approach, of course.